Hey everyone, it's Jelly Cards, and you're listening to the Jelly Cards podcast. We've been collecting since we were kids. Whether it's Pokemon cards or sports cards, being a collector at heart always comes first. You can listen to all our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if you are enjoying these topics, please give us a rating and a follow on both Spotify and Apple, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So, if you are ready, we are ready. Sit back, relax, and as always, keep spreading the love of the hobby from your friends at Jelly Cards.
So first, I want to just start off by saying how much I hate John.
Let's do it. Shit on John episode.
Yeah, we're gonna shit on John on this episode because he unfortunately couldn't make it. Eric, I'm okay with Eric not being able to. He had a real excuse. He had a real reason why he couldn't make it on the podcast.
Yeah, John on the other hand.
John just, I know he's sitting at home, just scrolling through eBay right now, probably watching national videos because the national's coming up this at the end of this week. He's got time to go to the national, but he don't got time for an hour-long podcast episode.
Right. Explain that.
Yeah, explain that, John. Explain that. But I really appreciate.
We're goofing, obviously. We're goofing.
Oh yeah. But I do appreciate you being able to record with me tonight, so we can get an episode in this week. I'm really, and that's why I texted in the group chat earlier because I was really hoping we can all be able to be on an episode for this because I'm really excited about this topic. Because we are going to talk about Peter Steinberg, who was the president and CEO of SGC. He stepped away from the company. He resigned, so he's no longer a part of SGC. And we all know back in February of 2024, collectors bought out PSA, and then they went and bought out SGC as well. So this is actually really big news. A lot of people are talking about it on social media, so it really got my head kind of churning a little bit and kind of speculating.
I think it's better that it's just you and me. That way we don't have John in here. He'd be clouding up the dialogue.
Yeah.
I think it's better that you and me do this, especially for this topic. No John, better. Joking.
You know what? It would have. I would have liked to, have gotten John's reaction on it. But I'm really happy that you are recording with me because you have a lot of your responses and your insights are really from a business mindset or just from the business part. Because of course I'm gonna have some bias because you know me. I've always been a big fan of SGC, so we'll have a little bit of bias, but I'll try to eliminate that. And John, we all know John's the PSA ambassador.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Waving the PSA flag every day of his life. Joking.
John's not even on the episode, and it's great. It's great. We're 2 minutes and 50 seconds into this episode. We have nothing but rip John. But before we dive into all the topic of conversation, let's just knock out show and tell right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because in honor of us talking about SGC and the future of SGC, I have a nice SGC slab that I'm showing off, man.
Okay, so I can't read it, so I see.
Yeah, so
I see the 1010, so I know it's got an auto 10.
Yeah, it is an SGC 10, auto got a 10. It is a Chicago Cubs prospect. It is Christian Franklin.
Okay, numbered I see too, right?
It is numbered. It's numbered out of 150. So he is the Cubs number 14 prospect. So this is the 2022 Bowman Chrome Christian Franklin autograph card. First Bowman Chrome auto, numbered out of 150. I bought this card, and this was maybe it was 2 years ago that I got this card. This was when John and I were kind of really getting on our kick of we need to start buying autos. And, you know how we were. We always were prospect hunting, trying to find, some prospects to buy into. Of course, again, we have a lot of bias. We are Chicago Cubs fans. So I was looking at them. the one thing I love most about Christian Franklin, he doesn't hit for a high average. However, he always has a very high on base percentage. And this is for you, John, because I know you're going to love this. I think they've played 85 games so far this season. He has 68 walks, which, like, that's really good. Like, 68 walks, 85 games. I think his on base percentage right now is like a 398. So
Oh wow, nice. Okay.
his
Yeah.
ETA is 2026. His ETA originally was 2025, but now it's 2026. But I think once he gets called up, I'll probably just end up listing it. And I think I paid like $40 for this card.
Okay. Now
So for it to be a 10-10,
hey, yeah, 1010 numbered auto,
yeah.
pretty good for
Yep.
$40.
And it's SGC. Shout out SGC.
Yeah, honestly, regardless of the slab, as long as it's like the big four, I would guess that you're gonna make your money, assuming he makes it to the show.
Yeah, it would depend on like his role on the team and how much he's going to play and how much people are really.
What's his position right now?
He's an outfielder.
Okay.
So
Do you
I
think,
don't know
do you think
where
he's gonna
exactly.
be?
See, that's the problem. We have PCA in center. You have Kyle Tucker and you have Ian Happ. So unless
They
maybe
just extend Hap like a year or two ago.
yes, they did. Yep.
Yeah, but
Well,
you don't.
they gave him like a
He
small extent. It's not like a lengthy one, but I
right.
mean,
So
yeah,
he
Happ might be the odd man
the
out.
fourth outfielder. So if you're saying that this guy's timeline is 2026 call up, Hap might be the fourth outfielder because at that point he'd be what, almost a 10-year veteran. If he doesn't have it, then maybe your guy is the starter, or at least in his second year,
Hey,
maybe not his
if
rookie
you
year.
got a
And then
398 OBP, you got to be in the lineup somehow.
yeah, I don't know shit about baseball, but I'm just like trying to look at it optimistically for the sake of you making money on your card.
I love Ian Happ, but I also understand that he's probably going to end up being the odd person out as years come. You know, he will probably end up getting traded. I really hope he just finishes out his career. That would be great as a Chicago Cub. But I
Yeah, it's
can
always nice to see.
imagine, yeah, I can imagine he will be the odd person out. But I just wanted to I was trying to look through all my SGC slabs and I've pretty much almost showed every single SGC slab that I have. So
Are
that was
you
one of the
keeping track
few.
of every card that you show in show and tell?
Yeah, I have like just from like memory. Just I'm
Okay,
looking through
I
and be
have to
like,
do
I
that
think
because I've already forgotten, and I would feel silly if I show a card a second time. So I got to go back through our episodes
yeah.
and
For my PC slabs, there's not many, so I probably once I show almost every single PC's one, I might have to actually get into some of my raw cards.
really, I feel like
I don't
I feel
have,
like
I mean, I have a lot, but not like.
give us. Let me. I'm gonna say over under. I'm gonna put it at 28 and a half slabs. Just
Ooh, probably
whatever
over.
over.
I think so. Yeah, I
Okay,
think
yeah,
it would be
that's
over.
it's a decent amount.
Yeah, and I
But
think some of the ones that I thought we could like have for Jelly, which I think I'm gonna take back, like donations. I think some like are still like with Eric. Like I know I have my Bryce Harper slab. That's where they're in it.
so it's in the Eric vault.
Yeah, it's in the Eric vault. Yeah. So, but
Okay,
that's my card. So
nice.
go ahead. What kind of index card you got for us today?
Yeah. Yeah. Not an index card. This is an upper deck card. You'll recognize it, Jason.
Ken Griffey
Showing it for the
Jr.
camera.
Oh, sweet. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so everybody watching can
Awesome.
react to it. It's kind of grainy because I still got it in the protective plastic and everything.
Wait, is it Upper Deck or was that Allen and Ginter?
Upper Deck Goodwin Champions. That's the
Oh,
yeah. So this is a card of a former track and field professional. He was a sprinter. His name is Jeremy Warner. He ran the 400-meter dash, and he was a gold medalist. And the story the story behind this one. So actually, let me read the full set and year this from. So it's 2012 Upper Deck Goodwin Champions autographs Jeremy Warner. So it is autoed. It's raw. I don't have it slabbed. I plan to get it graded. I do want to get it
nice.
graded in an SGC slab in honor of my good
Oh,
friend Jason.
cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. For my Pokemon collection, my WOTC collection, all PSA. But anything other than that, I'm not really tied to PSA or SGC, CGC, whatever. So this one's gonna go in an SGC slab. It's gonna look good in it. It looks pretty good. Maybe it gets a 9, maybe it gets a 10. Who knows? We'll see. Story behind this athlete, not necessarily the card itself, is Jason and I ran track, and Eric too, actually. We ran track in high school. Jason ran track in college. I didn't. I was very slow. But our favorite pro runner was Jeremy Warner. And at the time and now, I would say the 400 meters one of my favorite races to watch,
The best.
or just events in general
Yeah.
in track and field. And Warner had the best form for a 400-meter runner. And I
Yep.
stand by that today.
So
It
smooth.
was, yeah, so smooth, always fun to watch him run. And he dominated, was it
It was Athens.
2004?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Athens.
okay. Yeah, he dominated the final when he won the gold medal, and I think the Americans went 1, 2, and 3, which is cool, for us. So
I think he took silver the next in 2008 at Beijing.
yeah, I know. Yeah, he
Because I
medaled
think it was LaShawn
Merritt.
Merritt.
Yeah, who's also really good. Clearly
Because
gold
Jeremy
medal.
Warner, fun fact, he tried. I think was it Beijing or was it London? One of them, he tried to qualify in the 200 because he was already in the 400.
Really?
Yeah, and he ran it was slow for the 200, but I think
Right.
he ran like 20 seconds or something
Yeah,
like that, which
I
is
know his
slow.
PR. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. His PR, he never broke under 20. I mean, but it's
Also, he was
lightning speed.
wasn't he was the anchor for the 4x4 as well. Just the
Yeah, what a runner.
Here's the thing, and I was not a 400 runner. I was a short sprinter. I was, in indoor, 60-meter dash. Outdoor as a 100 guy. Even 200 to me, I thought was too long. But every once in a while, coach unfortunately made me have to run a 400. But yes, Jeremy Warner, my all-time favorite track athlete, and he is the reason why I ended up buying Oakley shades to run in Oakleys because he always ran.
He
Didn't
was
matter.
probably
No
like
time.
one of the original to sport the
Not many people really did, and he rocked
yeah.
he rocked the shades even at nighttime. He would rock the shades, and then I was like, I want,
Yeah.
I want shades for so my parents went out and got me a pair of Oakleys, and I ran my races in them.
Yeah.
I
Very
probably
very
looked like an absolute loser, but I ran them. I did. So that's
there,
awesome. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, there's the card one more time for the camera. It's got my
Yep.
lights are
And I
making it
also
glare,
have the
but
same card because I bought 2 of them.
did you bought one for yourself?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They had 2 left.
Oh, sweet.
I bought it from John's favorite account, ComC. So the one so that's his favorite one. So yeah, they had 2 left, and I was like, oh well, I'm buying both of them then. And I was like, I'll have one, and Luke will have one.
Okay, well then we have to sub it to SGC whenever
Hey, you know
we can
what?
get
I
around to
will
it.
sub it to SGC just for that, so we can see
Hell
who
yeah.
gets the better grade. We'll see
Mine
who
looks
gets
pretty
the better.
good. But yeah, there's show and tell. Jeremy Warner. Jason got this for me as a gift. I was really happy to get it. Super cool. Definitely a PC type card. So
Is that your only track card?
yes.
Yeah, me too.
I do. I would like to get so I've said before on the podcast that I don't really collect sports cards too much. Mainly just MJ, maybe a couple others. Chicago pro athletes, but there are a few other sports cards that I plan to show in the future for show and tell. But regarding track and field, there's a few athletes out there that I would like to collect. I haven't even looked. I don't know how available cards are for track athletes, but there's some athletes out there who are awesome that I would love to collect just a little bit. So
Mike
maybe
Rogers was one of the ones that I tried finding, and I don't think he's got a.
Yeah, I feel like that was before, or trading cards for track athletes were after his time. Like he might have been a little bit too early, and even for Jeremy Warner. So like I'm even surprised that you found.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, this is 2012, so like tail end of his career. So but anyway, yeah, in the future maybe you'll see some more track and field athletes from me. So yeah, there we go, show and tell for the both of us.
Sweet. That was a sweet card. And that always gets me on the kick when we start sending the old Olympic races in the group chat. That's what got me on the kick of like, oh, I need to buy this card because I started watching old Jeremy Warner races.
At least I would say once every 6 months, I watch Jeremy Warner's gold medal race. Clayton Murphy, if he's listening, I watch his bronze medal race, super fun race, and then the 2021, well, 2020, technically 2021 Olympics in Tokyo. Ton of races from there that I like to watch, the 400-meter hurdles, and then the past 2024 Olympics. It seems like every race was awesome. So every couple months, every 6 months, I watch all of those races. And yeah, like we
Tyson
always
Gay, man, I like to watch it.
second, was he second or third fastest man in the world ever? He ran a
Ooh,
9.69, I'm pretty sure, which I think is the
really?
second or third
Oh
fastest
boy,
ever.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize. I know he was like, I mean, it was before oh my God, Usain Bolt, like he was the guy,
Yeah.
and
It's
it was him and Asafa Powell.
him and Asafa Powell, and then Johan Blake. He was a little bit younger, so like he was coming up too. I just can't remember who has the second fastest time ever. It might be Johan Blake. I think it's Bolt, obviously. I think Johan Blake might have the second fastest time, then Tyson Gay.
Justin Gatlin's got to be up there too, I would assume.
Yeah, I want to say his fastest is 9.72 or 9.70.
So slow.
I I was so I know we're getting like really deep into track and field here, but last thing, this is just for Jason. Nobody else listening. I don't give a shit. But I was so for the 2020 2021 Tokyo Olympics, Gatlin was doing really well that entire season, the 2021 season. And then and at the time I think he was like 38 years old, so it was crazy that he was placing in these heats in the or final heats in the Champions League. And I want to say he was ranked top 5 in the world for the 100-meter dash, something like that. And I was rooting for him, and I want to say a couple races or maybe even weeks before the Olympics he got hurt, and that was it. Like that would have been his last chance to get a medal in the Olympics, which would have been totally cool. So that sucked to see, just as a casual track and field fan. But anyway, uh, yeah,
Yeah,
deep into track and field today.
yeah, we went really deep there. But yeah, we'll bring it back around. There's, you know what, and man, I almost kind of just want to keep talking track because now I'm thinking of like a bunch of different like track athletes. Now I'm like, oh, but do you remember this guy and do you remember that guy?
Let's get Clayton back on the podcast if, whenever he's available. Hopefully he'd like to do it again, because I think you guys had him on twice.
I think he's been on 3 times.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah, I think we've done it 3.
Yeah, that would be awesome for me, because I no joke, I watch his race once every 6 months. It's an awesome race, really fun. So let's have him on again, and we can get even deeper into track and field.
That would be
Uh,
sweet.
that would be a
Talk
lot of
about
fun for.
track and field collecting cards, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be sweet. But
yeah.
yeah, we can dive into the SGC stuff because yeah, like I said, I was really kind of hoping that, John would be available and Eric would be available just to kind of get their opinion on everything that's happening. But just to give a quick, basically like elevator pitch. So Peter Steinberg, he was the president and CEO of SGC. He made an announcement. I think it was through like a Facebook post. I can't remember like where he posted it, but he made an announcement that he is stepping down from his position at SGC. Like I said, back in February of 2024, collectors bought out SGC. They also were the parent company of PSA. So there was a lot of speculation about what was going to happen, now that collectors basically owned 2 major grading companies in the industry right now. Of course, PSA being the leader in the industry, but SGC was still they were like, I think, third best to CGC. And then, of course, we all know SGC plays such an important role in vintage grading. But there's like my mind, like I said, my mind has been like churning like butter over here. It's just kind of, it almost kind of all makes sense of why everything was happening the way it was. And I know we talked about, I don't know if you were on the episode or it might have just been Eric and John, but we did talk about how PSA opened up a new office in Boca Raton, Florida, which Boca Raton, Florida was the primary location for SGC's office and their business. So they basically they moved into the same office building that SGC was in, and they were like right across the hall. So just breaking it down. So yeah, he stepped up. Peter Steinberg stepped away from SGC. So Ryan Hogue, which is the president of PSA, he now basically, so even when collectors bought the companies, he was overseeing not only PSA, but he was overseeing every single authenticity and grading that was owned by collectors. So Ryan Hogue, president of PSA, was overseeing PSA's grading and authentication, SGC's grading and authentication, and then they also, I believe, own, I can't remember the grading, PCGS, which I believe is a coin grading company that they own. So here's my thing. Peter, you buy these companies, you buy PSA, you buy out SGC, and Peter Steinberg wasn't even in charge or overseeing his own grading for SGC. The only thing that Peter Steinberg was in charge of was he was basically like he was in charge of the business part of SGC. That was it. So there is no reason as to why he stepped away from they didn't give a reason. He didn't give a reason in his post that he made. Nobody has said why he stepped away. But can we all just agree that it looked as if he was probably like the future of SGC was looking grim and he just was like, there's no future for me with collectors and PSA? Because let me keep talking about, I know I'm kind of rambling here.
Yeah, go for it.
So he oversaw everything with the authentication grading at collectors. However, they did say that SGC will still continue to operate as an operate independently from PSA. But PSA and SGC started sharing graders. So the amount
So
of
that doesn't sound like operating independently.
it does not sound like it's
where did
operating.
where did you read this or hear this that they
So
share the same graders?
I was getting it from
And when you
sports
say
collectors,
graders, you like just to be clear, you're talking about employees who are
employees,
grading
graders who are grading.
SGC
Yes.
slab, cards that go into SGC slabs, cards that go into PSA slabs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was coming from this came from, I read an article from like Sports Illustrated that covered it. I read an article. I always look off of Sports Collectors Daily, and then I listened to almost an entire podcast where Ryan Hogue was on. I think it was like Neo Comics or something. He interviewed him talking about what this all means for why Peter Steinberg stepped away. So they were getting to a point where they were starting to share the grading staff. So Ryan Hogue said in this interview that he did with this comic guy, he said that SGC will focus on returning to shorter turnaround times, but at a smaller scale. And based that one of the articles said they want SGC to be more of a boutique grading brand. Yeah. And then a good chunk of SGC staff is shifting to PSA now. So, and then basically Ryan Hogue said also in the interview that it will basically the customers will ultimately decide SGC's future. Like, we'll see what kind of submissions that we're still getting. Are they going to still submit a bunch of vintage slabs? If they keep submitting vintage slabs, we're going to go to vintage route. If they continue to keep, he flat out said, Pokemon's not a big thing for SGC, so we're not going to focus on that. But I just think, me personally, from, from hearing all that, I think it's just a grim reality that it sounds as if they're slowly just absorbing SGC to the point where one day he would have walked in and they're just going to be like, "Hey man, sorry, but you're out of here." So, what initial thoughts? I know I gave a lot of information, but what are just your initial thoughts on like him stepping away and what that could mean for SGC going forward?
So the former president stepping away, I don't know. I mean, it's curious. If I had to guess why, I would be speculating 100%.
Well, yeah, speculate. I mean, it's really all like because there's a lot of people talking about it, and a lot of people thinking like what's next for him too. Like I don't think he's just stepping away from the hobby and gonna go do something else. I'm sure he's gonna try to get to something else.
Gosh, for people and for CEOs and presidents of companies with more than like 10 employees, there's so many things at play. Oh my God, I can't even begin to guess. But yeah, maybe, I guess I can go with what you're guessing, which is he saw the writing on the wall, which is this guy Hogue saying that SGC is going to be a boutique grading company. And I'm forgetting the names. What's the former president of SGC?
Peter Steinberg.
Steinberg thinks, okay, well, now my revenue is going to have a governor on it. There's a ceiling, unfortunately. So, who knows? Maybe his compensation is tied to revenue. Maybe his compensation is tied to, X, Y, or Z. And maybe that's why he left. Because if collectors is throttling SGC's growth, then that's bad for Steinberg's personal growth, like his own growth in his professional career. That's one guess, but it could be a ton of other things. Who knows? It is curious though.
Yeah. So also in the interview, Ryan Hogue, he explained that so I guess Peter Steinberg, he was having trouble growing SGC from he said from a technology and capital driven standpoint. So basically Nat Turner, I believe it's Nat Turner who owns Collectors. And so they invested a ton of money into PSA. They thought it wouldn't be smart to duplicate that investment into SGC because why would we have two large grading scales? And then so I'm looking at it going, well, okay, Nat Turner, you're not giving SGC any money. You don't think it's smart to give them money. You clearly already see that he is struggling to just simply grow SGC to the level that I'm guessing that PSA's at. So you're pretty much kind of like in to me, it was I really should have sent you guys the interview because to me it kind of really sounded like, oh, hey, Peter Steinberg, he's such an amazing guy. He needs this like deserved like vacation. Like, oh, he's got to work on his golf game now and stuff. Like he picked up golf a year ago. Like it kind of all sounded like you're just being like big brother, but like you guys knew what was happening in the background. Like you knew you were pushing this guy out. He's not even looking over his own grading and authentication at his own company. You're doing it and you work for PSA. Like, how is that? How is that right? That like, oh, you're supposed to be working as independent companies, but you're not overseeing your own authenticity and your own authentication and grading. So, like, what was his role? Was his role to just get buried? Like, because that's
Yeah,
kind of what
maybe.
it
I mean,
sounds
that's
like.
that happens when
Like you just tossed him out. You knew he wasn't going to succeed. And then you opened up a new office in Boca Raton, Florida. You opened it right across the hall from SGC. And then you go, "Oh, you know what? I don't think it's smart that we give you this much money. PSAs, we're getting flooded over here. So can we get some of your graders? Let's get some of your graders to come over to PSA because we're doing like 80,000 cards a day or whatever it is. And you guys can keep operating, but we're gonna shrink you in size. You're probably gonna be like a little boutique. We'll see if you can kind of get some, submissions in, but eventually you're gonna go away. I think it's a
Yeah,
matter of time. I think
they
it's I think a year
these
or
things
two.
happen.
I think a year or two, and SGC is gonna be.
You think so? Because
I think so. It sounds to me like that. I like it. Just I think it had to be like the writing had to be on the wall as to why he stepped away. All that work that he put in, and you just walk away. Like he was, and if he true that he resigned, I mean, that's like you're not getting no severance or anything like that. Like you're just stepping away
well,
from.
we
Well,
don't know that. I
maybe
mean,
I don't
they don't
know,
have to tell us. They're
uh,
collectors is a private company, right?
but I mean, I
Yeah.
get but
He
still,
might have got a nice payday. We don't know.
maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah, but I'm like, it just doesn't look good. Like to me, it doesn't look good for SGC as like a grading company. It just kind of sounds to me as if like PSA collectors, they kind of knew exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they had a plan before they acquired SGC, no doubt.
Yeah. So, and now I sit back and go, okay, well, what does this mean for PSA going forward? Um, I mean, if you now absorb the entire, grading company of SGC. Now you have all these new graders coming in. Like Ryan Hogue even said that Peter Steinberg was helping to cross train his own SGC graders so they can go over the PSA. It's like, oh my God, you're leading this guy to the wolves, man. Like you're having him like you're and man, it's just
I
like,
mean, these things happen. Like
well, yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly.
when
But
there are collectors had to identify synergies between the two companies and maybe consolidate some of the operations between the two companies. And in their estimation, they decided it's best for collectors to render SGC a boutique grading company
what does that
and
mean?
pump.
Like, what does it mean by them saying? I'm assuming like boutique meaning like. I mean, I know what boutique stores
I
are, but
mean,
like,
yeah, I
why?
mean
Like, what
that
does it
that
mean
word
by them
like
referring it to as a
uh,
boutique?
that word, I don't know, like colloquially that means like uh I don't know, smaller, extra attention on your product or service, um smaller customer base, less popular, although potentially still really good quality, maybe even better compared to a bigger company. I'm just speaking in generalities, but like when I hear boutique, that's what that means to me typically.
Yeah, and they said that they want to get SGC back to that 10 to 15 day turnaround time that they used to have. So I know, even like how PSA is, where they were getting swamped with submissions, SGC was getting the same thing. Not at the large scale that PSA was, but they were having delays in their turnaround times. I made a submission to it, and I think it was maybe almost like 2 months that it took for those cards to come back, but they advertised 10 to 15 days. So they are still emphasizing wanting to get back to that. That's why they said they want to shrink SGC in size so they can get back to focusing on that customer experience, focus on those shorter turnaround times. I mean, they already have the cheaper grading costs, so I just I look at it from like, they have such a major following when it comes to like vintage. So I wonder if like they're just trying, PSA is trying to maybe do a little bit better in that category of the hobby and get those vintage graders to come over to PSA and like, I just like it's just like and now a lot of people I've been reading online or listening online, and a lot of people think that, hey, what if Peter Steinberg goes to Beckett? A lot of people have been saying that in comments on videos that I've been watching. A lot of people are like, I think he's going to try to go over to Beckett and try to grow Beckett and get Beckett back to what it used to be post-COVID or pre-COVID.
Was this guy Steinberg the president and CEO going back 10 years or or
You
how
know what?
long?
That's a
Do
good
you know?
question. I'm not sure. SGC's been around since 1998. That's when the company originated. I don't think so. I think he's only been doing it for the last 7 years. like around
Okay, so
7, 8
still
years.
like
So a
still a
decent
good amount of
time.
time
Yes, a good amount of time.
prior to the acquisition.
Yeah. So I mean, SGC has not been around for that long. I think PSA was 1991. I want to say is when they first came into as a grading company. Yeah, SGC is 98. So um, yeah, I'm curious to see what his next move is and where he goes from there, because I don't think you're just like what he's a pretty young guy still. Like he's a young guy still. Like there's no way you're just stepping away from the hobby and accepting this L when you just put all this effort into SGC and now you're no longer.
But we don't know if it's an L. I mean, he might have. I don't know who owned SGC prior to the sale to collectors, but maybe it was already planned and they made it look like he walked away and maybe he got paid off huge, and or it could be any number of things. I wouldn't necessarily call it a loss for this guy, Steinberg, um, until we know more.
Yeah, and I was also reading too, so because like I was kind of wanted to get like a little bit of thought on what the future is for PSA as well as a grading company, because as we can see that there's the numbers that they're putting out, especially what you see on Gemery. I mean, the numbers that PSA is doing as a company is like unreal, and they said it like, pretty much a lot of that is all Pokemon driven. The big partnership that they did with GameStop has really helped him out a lot. You know what? And another thing he talked about too in this interview is that, he said why the Pokemon numbers are so high. And I don't even know why he never put two and two together. He said, well, he was like, we have an office in Tokyo. He's like, we have an office in Tokyo, and for
Do they
every
get a lot
almost
of walk-in submissions?
I don't know if they get walk-ins, but he said basically he's like, it's all Pokemon over there. He said, so our numbers are
Yeah.
kind of skewed to look as if like we're just getting flooded and all we're doing is like TCG right now, and how like TCG is like taking over their like the sport, they're outnumbering sports cards for PSA. But he's like, it's really because they're their Tokyo office, which I'm like, yeah, they have an office in not Shanghai, Singapore, Singapore, Shanghai. Oh, girl. Now
Those
I
are
don't know.
two. Shanghai's in China. Singapore's
Yeah.
like a
Now
city-state
I can't.
country.
Now I can't remember. I think it might have. It was either Shanghai or Singapore. I can't remember. But I was like, damn, I didn't know PSA had like that many like global offices and global locations. I mean, are we looking like this is why I also said I don't see why Fanatics would want to partner with PSA. Like I just think Fanatics like I don't think you were on that episode either. Damn it, you got to come on
I mean,
more episodes, man.
I listened to
Yeah.
all the
Well, do you
episodes.
remember when I was talking about how how I said Fanatics, I think Fanatics should get into grading, and
Yeah.
then John and Eric are both like, I don't think they'll start their own grading company. I think they would just absorb a company or buy out a company.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Okay.
they
Yeah.
said like, why would they not buy out or partner with PSA? I just don't think they would want to partner with PSA, just because I think you would just have two like huge powerhouse of like businesses and companies with Fanatics and like collectors, and I feel like it would just be like two big egos clashing, that it just, like if PSA is now the leader in the industry, there has to be a rival, right? There has to be another, like all these grading companies are not just going to sit back and be like, well, like let PSA just be king and we're not going to try to compete, you know?
Well, what do you mean when you say Fanatics partners with PSA? Do you mean like they actually buy PSA because Collectors owns PSA?
Well, yeah. So basically, what John and Eric were saying is that they would just be like they would partner with it to where they would whether it's like doing group submissions, whether they had something with their marketplace, like, hey, if you buy a card off our Fanatics Collect marketplace, we'll instantly send it to PSA. You
Mm.
can get it graded with PSA, and then hey, when the card gets graded, it just automatically goes up on Fanatics Collect, and we'll list it for you.
Mm.
That's how they were saying. But again, I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. And I just think like, because they have a big partnership with CGC as well. But I just like, there has to be a rival, right? Like, to me, there just has to be a rival company that can compete against PSA to where it's not like a monopoly of the grading industry, where now you're just kind of kicking everybody out and buying everybody up because you have the money to do it. Nat Turner has the money to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Who's second in line? Is it CGC at this
CGC.
point? Yeah.
CGC in terms of numbers would be second in line. And then it was SGC and then it was Beckett.
Okay, I know you're the big SGC guy, but you should, if you're anti PSA, which I will not judge you for being anti PSA, then you should start looking at CGC slabs because, just a reminder, SGC and PSA belong to the same company. So if you're buying an SGC slab and you're buying a PSA slab, to me, there's no difference.
Not anymore.
If you, yeah, not anymore as of the acquisition. So if you're trying to support the little guy or support the competition, when you buy SGC, you're not doing that. Your money's going to the same place ultimately.
Yeah, John and Eric laugh at me a lot because I kind of do jump around a little bit.
I'm just like whatever, jump around, do whatever. CGC and PSA belong to the same company. So, sorry, yeah, gosh,
there's a lot of acronyms going on here.
Yeah, goddamn. Um, SGC and PSA belong to the same company, so you're only helping collectors when you buy SGC. Like if that's why you jump around, like
I don't know. I was always I liked SGC at the beginning because I loved the look of their slabs.
Yeah, so start there, and then I know you had a really good experience with the submission process.
Yeah.
And maybe there's like a couple other little things after that, but in general,
price turnaround time was always great.
Why does anybody buy a card in a fucking slab or get it slabs to protect the card? Number one, I mean, I'll just speak for myself. To protect the card, number one. Number two, because it looks cool in the slab. So if those, and then for you, like specifically you, Jason, if you had a good customer experience, then, yeah, all the reason to buy SGC slabs. But if if you feel jaded by all of the PSA hype, then, I guess I would just say stop and think before you buy more SGC because, it's like I said, it's going to the same place.
That's why, honestly, I only have 2 tag slabs. That's the only 2 that I've bought.
But, God, I totally forgot about tag. Yeah,
Beckett,
buy more tag for your PC.
Beckett has been a grading company that I have been looking at a lot more again on eBay especially. And I have to think, like, again, going back to Peter Steinberg, like I remember I commented on the Jelly using the Jelly account, and I said, well, to somebody who said, well, okay, maybe he goes to Beckett and they try to revitalize Beckett and make Beckett into, a top grader again because they've fallen off so badly. And then I commented saying, why couldn't he look at a grading company like Tag? Again, like we are in a technology driven era of our lives. AI is becoming so prominent in everyday life. Technology is becoming so prominent in everyday life. Why wouldn't somebody kind of think like that might be the future? Like how John always talks about, eliminate the subjectivity of grading because that's the worst part about it. The inconsistency of it. So, okay, take your knowledge of the hobby, the knowledge that you have of grading, bring it to a new company like Tag, help them, kind of grow their company, help them financially kind of get a better algorithm so you can eliminate, the inconsistent grading that people have been seeing with Tag and bring it to, and bring Tag to a place where maybe one day in 5 to 10 years, they could compete against PSA. I mean, right? Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say that's good for the consumer. a lot of people would say that monopolies are bad for consumers. So supporting a company other than PSA, SGC, because they're both owned by collectors, would be good in the long run, I think.
So let me ask you this: if you, from a customer standpoint, and from you, as a hobbyist and a person that's in this hobby, you collect cards, you grade cards. Why would you still grade your cards with SGC? Like, after hearing all this news and after hearing that like the president stepped down, we're trying to shrink the size of the grading brand, and why should I still grade my cards with SGC?
You or me?
Well, I'm asking you, like,
Yeah.
I'm asking you that question, but like,
Yeah,
why
so
should you, the customer, still grade with SGC?
as a collector, I'll go back to the 2 or 3 things that I said before why I would grade any card at all, which is to protect the card and because it looks cool in this slab. So I have at least one SGC slab, or had a couple. I think Kevin Garnett rookie cards, and they seem to have been protected pretty well. So check the box there. And in my opinion, SGC, it's close, but I think they have the best slab, the best looking slab. So that checks both boxes for me. I don't care that this guy Steinberg stepped down from being CEO. I don't even know why. Like, well, I'm just like we said before. We're just
There's no,
we're
they have not
speculating.
given a reason. Yep.
I don't know if maybe it's a good thing that he stepped down for him and the company. I have no idea. So as a collector, if I am looking for cards and slabs just for my personal collection, even knowing that the collector's owner or CEO or whatever, this guy Hogue, said that they're gonna turn SGC into a boutique grading company, I don't care. But now, if I'm answering the question as somebody who's trying to make money by flipping cards, or any variation of that, I might start to rethink where I send my cards. Uh, Maybe I'll divert some of my submissions from SGC elsewhere, because if they're becoming a boutique firm, how many people are really going to be interested in SGC slabs in the future? I know, like this, that's a tough
Yeah.
question to answer.
That was going to be my next question to
Yeah.
you. Would you still buy SGC cards?
Yeah, if I'm trying to flip, I don't know, maybe, like, so when you ask that question, what I'm thinking of right now is John's Trevor Lawrence card that he showed on the podcast last week or the week before. And we know that Beckett is, at this point, their fourth or fifth in terms of
numbers.
revenue, and pretty far in fourth. But I,
But
if
Beckett
John,
is still so loved in the hobby, like by certain people.
yeah, so okay, so I'll come back to that. But what I was going to say initially is that if there's still opportunity to make a favorable profit on a car that's slabbed by a non PSA slab, then go for it. I mean, well, if you're somebody who wants to flip a card, you feel confident because you've done your research, or you have this, intuition that it's going to make money against a different kind of slab, or like maybe what else is out there, like what you could buy for your budget, then yeah, like, there's probably still good money to be made for SGC slabs, BGS, anything other than PSA. And then what did you just say a second ago? I was going to come back to it.
About the people that still love, like, Beckett.
Yeah, so I won't be surprised if, let's say in 2 years, when SGC and PSA kind of settle in their hierarchy, I won't be surprised if there's going to be a lot of SGC fans still out there.
Well, yeah, I hope so, because, okay, from my standpoint, if it does end up happening and PSA completely absorbs SGC as a grading company, and collectors goes, hey, you know what? We don't need two grading companies anymore. I want PSA to completely absorb SGC. All your employees can come work for PSA, or they can go do their own thing. What happens to SGC slabs? Like, would you still like? I guess to me, like, I'm not going to be going around trying to, I guess, find like SGC slabs anymore because, like, are people still going to want those? Like, it's not even a grading company anymore. Like, I still see people list HGA cards and slabs, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that company's
So
like, I think completely done.
so that could go one of two like one of two major ways. Maybe you could slice this another five or six couple, 5, 6 other ways. But one way it could go is, yeah, like if SGC gets totally dissolved into PSA, who know, we don't know what's going to happen. But let's say that happens, then um, people might get pissed. If I was a big collector of SGC slabs, I might be thinking, well, if this company is no more, what does that mean for the market on these cards? I might be upset, and that might be bad for PSA. Maybe there's an uprising in the card collecting community. Who knows? I don't know. But the other way that it could go is nothing changes with those cards. Maybe, interest comes down a little bit just because SGC wouldn't be relevant because they don't, theoretically, they don't exist anymore. But those cards were graded on the merit of SGC's grading capabilities at the time, and that hasn't changed because those grades are point in time. So logically, I would think that there would still be interest in those cards just from like a technical aspect, if you catch my drift. Now, like maybe the value wouldn't be what it would be if SGC was still in existence in this hypothetical situation, just because, again, they're not relevant anymore. But those any card out there, any slab out there, any card in a slab was graded on its merits at the point in time it was graded. So a company existing or not existing
Yeah.
afterwards in the future won't change the grade on your slab.
Or PSA could just be like, hey, we're going to run a special on cross grading. And if you have an SGC slab, hey, we'll cross grade it for free.
Or not, or we will guarantee your grade.
Yeah.
If you got an SGC 8,
we'll
we're going to give you a PSA 8 or
smart.
better.
Yeah.
Or
if
better.
you have an SGC 10, we will give you a PSA 10 on your card. Or I just think like they'll probably just say, hey, yeah, if you want to cross grade with PSA, send it. We'll do it for free. And
as a consumer, that would make me happy.
Yeah.
I don't like this hypothetical situation. SGC gets totally dissolved into PSA. If I was a big SGC collector, again, like I stand by what I said though, any card in a slab is graded on its merits at the time. I would still be pissed though, because I would think, the population of people that collect slabs would be less interested in a company slabs that no longer exist. So if PSA is then going to say, or collectors, whoever this announcement would come from, hypothetically, if they're saying we're going to pseudo cross grade it, meaning we're going to guarantee your grade or better, I would be happy about it.
Yeah,
if they say like, hey, you're fucked, I would be pissed. And maybe people boycott PSA, maybe they don't.
Yeah, boycott PSA.
I don't like. Wouldn't I? I would be. I would
No,
be pissed. Seriously,
I
would be pissed.
I would be pissed if I'm like, hey, like, you're not gonna like SGC gave me a 10. You're not gonna turn around and give me a 10. Like, you're just gonna, can I just get this card switched into a PSA slab now that SGC's like, you just completely took over this company and now I have this SGC slab that, I invested X amount of money in and put X amount of dollars into it to get it graded and, whatever. But
sorry, just last thing.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Just like run it like trying to do some super rough estimations in my head, they probably wouldn't do that, because think about how many, even if SGC is what their number 2 or 3 or whatever, there's probably literally millions of slabs out there. It would be
That would be a lot.
a lot. Yeah,
That would
I
be a
wouldn't say
lot.
impossible, but to and they would. I assume they would do, or if I'm a big SGC collector, I would hope they would do it at zero cost for me
Yeah.
as
No,
just.
I would. That would be
So
the
yeah,
only way that I would do it.
so they're probably not going to do it if this happens in the future.
No, and I was going to say we can end on this too because just talking about real quick with Beckett, um when I watch a lot of my YouTube videos and I watch a lot of like Roth cards and stuff, Roth cards still grades a ton of cards that they buy, like a lot of their high end cards, they still send them to Beckett. Like I don't see a lot of people like they're not buying SGC cards, they're not buying like tag. When Roth cards buys cards, they're looking at either it's PSA slabs or they're looking at Beckett grading. And a lot of times, like if they look at a card and go, ooh, I think it might be a PSA 9, like maybe it might get a PSA 9, they'll actually send it and consider sending it to Beckett because they'll be like, maybe we can at least get a 9.5. And now this is different. So I really still think that Beckett can still be a major player in this hobby. We have seen such a major drop off. I think I mean, compared to the other three companies, they're doing I think like 40,000, 40,000 cards versus like SGC's 100,000 plus. CGC is like 200,000 plus, and then PSA is like over. But I still think I think there are people out there that want to see Beckett get back into that limelight and get back into the at least probably the number 3, maybe number 2. Because CGC, let's face it, CGC, they're primarily a TCG company. They do a lot of comic grading. They do a lot of Pokemon slabs, of course. Pokemon TCG, I think, is their main submission for cards. People do grade sports cards with CGC. It doesn't even look right in the slab. Like it's weird to me. People
I
who
don't even
send
think
it,
I've seen a sports card
it's
in a
weird.
CGC slab.
Just go on eBay and look it up. It's very weird seeing a sports card in a CGC slab. It doesn't even look right, in my opinion. So I think CGC can compete against PSA from a TCG standpoint, from that category of the hobby. But when it comes to both like TCG and sports cards, maybe we might see Beckett start to kind of rise in the rankings again. So we'll see. Again, everything we talked about, it's all speculation. We have no clue as to what any of this information means, what the news means. But just to recap a little bit,
We don't know what we're saying
we
right
don't.
now.
Yeah, I mean, like on my drive to work and my drive home from work, I had so much in my head, and then we get on the podcast, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
deer in the headlights.
yeah,
Just
I'm like, I had so much I wanted to like talk about. I'm like, oh, it was flowing so well in my head, and then I get on the episode. But just
well,
yeah,
I think we said a
yeah,
lot in an hour. So
I think
this,
so. Yeah, we
yeah,
went on way too much of a tangent for track and field.
we gotta come back around to that
Yeah,
tangent. Let's
yes, we
get
do.
Clayton, if you're listening,
Yeah.
or Jason and John, I know you're listening. You guys have the contact. Let's get him back on. I would fucking love to be on an episode with him, and we can go real deep into track and field that time.
I'm just gonna let you know. Clayton specifically says, "Hey, can we not do an episode with Luke?" He's
Yeah, okay.
like, "Hey,
It's all
man."
right. I'll listen. I still have fun.
No,
I'll listen.
but that would be awesome. But yes, if you guys did enjoy this podcast episode, please reach out to us on our social media. We have Instagram, we have YouTube. Those are our two primary social media accounts. John does frequent our X account or Twitter account. We do have a Facebook account, but give us your opinion on the news. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on what you think the reason is why Peter Steinberg stepped away from SGC, what you think the future is going to be like for that grading company. Do you see Peter Steinberg going to somebody else like a Beckett or maybe a tag grading? Or is it just, hey, this is how businesses work? Somebody with more money is going to buy out the smaller company, absorb those employees, and then just continue to run operations as usual. So, um, Luke, thanks, man. Thank you again for recording with us. Hopefully next week we can have the entire group on the podcast episode. Hopefully we get John back. Hopefully,
as long as John doesn't ditch us again.
yeah, as long as John stops ditching us like for his life. I mean,
Oh my God.
can we just like say it's a little selfish? John's been a little selfish lately.
A little selfish?
I know.
Guy's only thinking about himself.
Guy's only thinking about himself, and he's making me do the outro, which is I hate. Yeah, I hate doing the outro. All right, guys. Appreciate you listening. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to see, this is why I don't do it. This is why I don't do it.
Let's end it right here.
Follow the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, keep spreading the love of the hobby from your friends at Jelly Cards.
Love you, John.
Love you, John.